Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Fadillah, and today I will present my journal about Snowball Throwing Implementation in Social Studies Learning. First, I'd like to introduce you about the background to make this journal. My friend and I start the research based on the problem in the class that we found related to social studies learning. Namely, social studies learning material are too difficult because they require high memory and student lack of interest in learning social studies. These two problems make the value of student learning outcomes in social studies subject is low. Based on these problems, we took the initiative to present learning that is more effective and attracts students' interest in learning, namely the snowball throwing method. Snowball throwing is a learning method where students are invited to learn while playing, so that learning becomes more interesting and not boring. The learning steps with the snowball throwing method are as follows. At the beginning, students are divided into small groups. Then, each group makes different questions according to the predetermined topic on a piece of paper, which is then rolled into the small ball. Afterward, the student threw the small paper ball to their friend from a different groups. And the last, the student who gets the paper ball must answer the question. If the answer is correct, then the group gets 10 points. But if it is wrong, then the group gets 0 points. Research methods. This research was conducted at SD Negeri 3 Banteran. In particular, the research was conducted on students of grade 6. There are two data sources in this study, namely primary data source or subjects and secondary data source or objects. The primary data source or subjects is in the form of learning research in the subject matter of the natural appearance of neighboring countries. The learning outcomes are in the form of test score at the end of each cycle. Meanwhile, secondary data in this study of the result of observation made by writer when learning activities take place. The techniques used to collect the data above are test and non-test, which include observation and documentation. The data analysis method of this research is quantitative and qualitative data. The quantitative data use a comparative descriptive analysis, comparing the initial condition values, the test score after the first cycle, and the test score after the second cycle. At the same time, the qualitative data is found on the result of the observation and reflection from each cycle. The criterion for success in this study is if the number of students who could score according to the KKM more than equal to 70 and the class reached 85%, approximately 35 students. This research was conducted in two cycles. Each cycle with 4 stages, namely planning, action, observation, and reflection. Each cycle has 2 meeting times. Thus, it is done repeatedly or the number of cycles carried out in this study in 2 cycles. The action process on the second cycle is a continuous of the first cycle. Things that were not suitable in cycle 1 were corrected in cycle 2. Research. After the research in Cycle 1 was carried out, the results were obtained as shown in the table of learning outcome in Cycle 1. Then the research was continued in Cycle 2 to increase the writer confidence in the success of the method used, then obtained the value of learning outcome as shown in the table of learning outcome in Cycle 2. While the learning outcome in the initial condition can be seen in the bar chart as follows. Based on the result of observation made by writer on the initial condition, the end condition of the first cycle until the end of the second cycle, there was an increase in the average value of learning outcome continuously. As shown in the following table in the table, the average value of student learning outcomes in the initial condition, the average class in 55 with an increase of 5%. After the action in cycle 1, the average class has increased to 73 with an increase of 33%. Then learning is carried out in cycle 2 with increase in class average to 83, percentage increase 14%. More detailed step-by-step improvement can be seen in the graph of the average value of the following learning outcomes. Thus, it can be concluded that the snowball throwing method is proven to improve student learning outcomes for social studies subjects. Last, I will close this presentation with special thanks. We thank Mr. Dr. Subuh Anggoro as head the Master Department of Primary School Teacher Education of the Muhammadiyah University of Purwokerto. We also thank Mr. Dr. Haji Yahya Sudarya, M.Pd, as a lecturer on our research who has patiently provided suggestions and correction for our research. With the guidance of both of them, this research article can be carried out. I think enough from my team and I. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.